While Europeans were living in mud huts, this civilization had indoor toilets, underground sewers, and multi-story apartments. 5 million people lived in cities so perfectly planned, they'd make modern urban planners jealous. No kings, no temples, no wars, just pure, terrifying efficiency. Yet 99% of people have never heard of them. Today, we are uncovering why the Harappan civilization might be the most advanced ancient society you've never learned about, and the shocking reason it all disappeared. But first, let me blow your mind with just how massive this was. The scale that changes everything. This wasn't just one ancient city hidden in some dusty corner of history. We are talking about an entire civilization that stretched across modern-day Pakistan, northeast Afghanistan, and northwest India, covering 1.25 million square kilometers. That's bigger than Egypt and Mesopotamia combined. Picture a network of over 1,000 cities and towns: Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, Dholavira, Lothal, and the lesser-known giant Ganveriwala, still buried in desert sand, holding secrets we haven't even begun to uncover. Some of these cities housed 30,000 to 60,000 people each, at a time when most humans lived in scattered farming villages of maybe 200 people. The Harappans were managing urban populations that rival modern cities. Total population between 1 to 5 million people. Let that sink in. Millions of people living in organized, connected cities over 4,000 years ago. But here's what makes this even more insane. They did it without leaving behind a single statue of a king or carving about a great war. No ego monuments, no "look how powerful I am" temples. Just stunning, quiet brilliance. Cities that shame. Modern planning. Picture this. It's 2500 BCE. Most of the world consists of scattered tribes and basic farming villages. But in the Indus Valley, grid-patterned cities with streets running in perfect straight lines, intersecting at exact right angles, north to south, east to west, like someone took a ruler and compass to the ancient world. Actually, stop. I need you to understand how revolutionary this was. When archaeologists first discovered Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, they couldn't believe what they were seeing. These weren't the organic, winding streets you'd expect from ancient settlements. These were engineered masterpieces. Every city followed the same brilliant design. The citadel, sitting higher up, used for rulers, public rituals, grain storage, and official gatherings. Below it, the lower town, where regular people lived, worked, and traded. They had zoning laws before zoning laws existed. But wait, it gets crazier. The streets weren't just straight. They were designed for traffic flow, drainage, public order, and even airflow through homes. The main roads were wide enough for carts to pass each other. Side streets perfectly proportioned for foot traffic. And here's what blew my mind. They built on raised platforms. Why? To protect entire cities from seasonal flooding. While most ancient civilizations waited for disasters to happen and then rebuilt, Harappans were already thinking ahead with climate resilience. Plot twist: they achieved all this without kings building massive monuments to themselves. While Egypt was constructing pyramids to glorify pharaohs, Harappans were building functional cities for everyone. Water control that rivals today. Okay, forget everything you think you know about ancient plumbing, because what I'm about to tell you will change how you see these people forever. Let's start with the Great Bath of Mohenjo-daro. This wasn't some small bathing pit. Picture a massive public pool, 12 meters long, 7 meters wide, 2.4 meters deep, made with perfectly fitted bricks and sealed with gypsum plaster for waterproofing. It had stairs leading down, drainage systems, and even a central courtyard built around it. Historians believe it was used for ritual purification, showing how advanced they were both spiritually and hygienically, 2000 years before Roman baths were even a thing. But here's where it gets absolutely insane. Move to Dholavira. A city built in a semi-desert. You'd think water would be a massive problem, right? Wrong. They created an entire system of reservoirs, dams, and stone water tanks to catch and store rainwater. Advanced water harvesting that some places still haven't mastered today. 700 wells in Mohenjo-daro alone. That's one well for every 3 homes. Lined, deep, perfectly engineered for clean daily use. Every household had access to fresh water without walking miles or sharing one central source. Actually, let me put this in perspective for you. When most civilizations were carrying water in clay pots from distant rivers and dumping waste in the streets, Harappans had individual household water supplies and underground sewage systems. Yes, you heard that right. Underground sewers, covered drains running beneath every street, connected from individual houses to main pipelines that emptied into public sewage systems. Real sewers. Over 4,000 years ago, the Romans get all the credit for aqueducts and plumbing innovations. But the Harappans? They did it quietly, cleanly, and without any marble statues celebrating their achievements. Construction. Genius. Hiding in plain sight. Here's something that sounds boring but will absolutely blow your mind. Bricks. Bear with me on this. Every single Harappan brick, whether it was for a house, a public bath, or a massive city wall, had the exact same ratio, 1 to 2 to 4. So what? You might ask. So what? This means they had quality control systems across hundreds of cities, standardized manufacturing processes, training programs for thousands of workers, industrial level planning and coordination, 4,000 years before the Industrial Revolution even existed. But that's just the beginning. Let's talk about their public granaries. These weren't little storage bins. Picture huge ventilated buildings designed to safely store grain for entire urban populations. They had airflow systems underneath. Yes, ventilated floors to prevent rot, insects, and moisture damage. This wasn't just farming. This was food security management on an urban scale. And remember those raised platforms I mentioned? They weren't just building cities on higher ground randomly. Archaeological evidence shows these platforms were strategically designed flood defenses built after studying seasonal water patterns. While other civilizations rebuilt after disasters, Harappans were practicing ancient urban resilience planning. Think about the coordination this required. Thousands of workers, standardized materials, unified building codes, central planning authority, all executed across a civilization spanning over 1 million square kilometers, without leaving behind a single statue of the person in charge. Crafts and the mystery that haunts historians. While other civilizations were making basic farming tools and crude pottery, Harappans were creating surgical precision metalwork that makes modern archaeologists question everything they thought they knew about ancient capabilities. They weren't just using bronze and copper, they were precisely blending bronze, copper, lead, and tin to create tools, mirrors, razors, and intricate artwork like the famous dancing girl statue of Mohenjo-daro. A bronze figure so sophisticated it could sit in a modern art museum. But their carnelian beadwork? That's where things get really weird. Picture beads so fine, so perfectly symmetrical, that experts believe they must have used micro-drilling technology. In the 3rd millennium BCE, we are talking millimeter level accuracy without modern machines. But here's what keeps me up at night. They created thousands of stair-tight seals, small, precisely carved stones with intricate animal designs and symbols. Over 400 unique symbols have been found on these seals, forming what we now call the Indus script. It appears on seals found across hundreds of cities. The consistency suggests something incredibly sophisticated, a standardized written language used for trade, identity, administration, and record keeping. Compare that to Egyptian hieroglyphs carved into massive temple walls, shouting their achievements for all to see, or Mesopotamian cuneiform pressed into clay tablets, documenting laws and conquests. But Harappans? They quietly stamped their writing into small portable seals, organized, repeatable, systematized. The problem? We still can't read it. Think about that for a moment. We've cracked Egyptian hieroglyphs, deciphered Mesopotamian cuneiform, translated ancient Greek and Latin. But Harappan script, used by 5 million people across over 1,000 cities for centuries, remains a complete mystery. What were they writing about? Trade records, religious texts, government documents, love letters? We have no idea. The global trade empire nobody talks about. Remember those mysterious seals we can't read? Here's what we do know about them, and it changes everything. Long before there were shipping companies or international banks, the Harappans were moving goods across continents. They were the silent tycoons of the ancient world. Cotton textiles, carnelian beads, shell jewelry, ceramics, and metals flowing from the Indus Valley to places like Mesopotamia, Oman, and Iran. And how do we know this? Because archaeologists found Harappan seals in ancient Mesopotamian cities. And Mesopotamian inscriptions mention extensive trade with a distant wealthy land called Meluha, which many historians now believe was the Harappan Empire. But here's the real jaw-dropper. At Lothal, in modern-day Gujarat, they built something that absolutely should not have existed in the 3rd millennium BCE, a functional seaport, not just a place where boats could dock. A sophisticated maritime facility with a massive dockyard with precise measurements, warehouse complexes for storing goods, a tidal basin that worked with ocean tides, loading ramps designed for efficient cargo transfer, engineering that rivals modern ports. They were sailing rivers, navigating seas, coordinating long-distance maritime trade with infrastructure that wouldn't look out of place today. And their precision tools? Uniform cubical weights made from stone, cut in exact decimal ratios 1, 2, 5, 10, 20, 50, 100. The same system is used across cities hundreds of kilometers apart. While Mesopotamians were using basic tokens and tallies for trade, Harappans had precision accounting tools that could have been used in a modern marketplace. Recent discoveries that change everything, but here's what really shocked me. We thought we knew when this civilization began and ended. We were wrong. At Lakhpat, Gujarat, archaeologists recently found settlement remains dating back to 5300 BCE. That's not centuries, that's millennia earlier than we previously thought possible. Which means the roots of Harappan civilization might be older than Egypt's first pyramids. Then there's Dholavira, already famous for its water reservoirs and city planning. But recent analysis suggests something mind-blowing. Its architecture might have been guided by astronomical observations. Square structures and water tanks are so precisely aligned with cardinal directions and celestial movements that it suggests advanced knowledge of astronomy integrated into urban planning. And unlike other Harappan cities with two main zones, Dholavira had three distinct tiers: a citadel, middle town, and lower town, each surrounded by massive stone walls, each with separate housing zones and public facilities. It was like a mini empire contained within a single city. All of this points to something that should terrify and fascinate us. We've only scratched the surface. Satellite imaging is revealing dozens of buried sites across Pakistan and India. Underwater archaeology is finding submerged cities off the coast. Each new dig brings discoveries that rewrite what we thought we knew. The Harappans weren't just organized, they were deliberately, systematically, centuries ahead of their time. The mystery that haunts me after all this brilliance, after the engineering, the trade networks, the precision planning, the astronomical knowledge, you have to ask, what happened? Here's what keeps me awake at night. This wasn't a civilization that collapsed from war, invasion, or internal conflict. There's no evidence of battles, destroyed walls, or conquered cities. It was something far more silent and far more devastating. Climate change, Around 1900 BCE, the mighty Ghaggar-Hakra river system, their lifeline, began to dry up. The monsoons weakened. Water sources that had supported millions of people for centuries started disappearing. Cities like Mohenjo-daro show evidence of repeated flooding followed by rebuilding, layer upon layer, until it became unsustainable. The very water that gave them life eventually became their enemy. But here's what haunts me most. They had the engineering knowledge to survive almost anything. Underground drainage that still works today, flood-resistant platforms, water storage, and management systems that modern cities would envy. So why didn't they adapt? Why did the most advanced civilization of its time just fade away? Maybe they did adapt. Maybe they migrated to areas we haven't discovered yet. Maybe their descendants carried their knowledge to other parts of the world. Or maybe there's something about their disappearance that we're still missing. Something locked in that undeciphered script, waiting for us to crack the code. The big questions, somewhere under Pakistani and Indian soil, there are 1,000 plus cities waiting to be discovered, each one holding secrets of a civilization that was running circles around everyone else 4,000 years ago. And yet, we've barely scratched the surface of understanding them. Next time someone says ancient people were primitive, remind them of this. The Harappans built a 5 million person civilization with better urban planning than most modern cities, more sophisticated water management than many countries have today, and a global trade network that would make ancient Rome jealous. And they left us a written language we still can't read. Maybe we're not as advanced as we think. Maybe there's more buried in our past than we realize. Maybe the Harappans are still teaching us lessons we haven't learned yet. What do you think happened to them? What secrets do you think are locked in that undeciphered script? Drop your theories in the comments, because this mystery is far from solved, and every new discovery just makes it deeper. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, keep questioning everything you think you know about the ancient world. It's time for Factssay Confidence Score.